Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. I'm Ty Glenn. Hopefully, you guys are having a great Friday. We got lots of NHL news to break down. The preseason is tomorrow, so hockey season is just inching and inching and inching closer every day. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, Nick Foligno, he was named captain of the Chicago Blackhawks on Thursday, so very nice to see. I was hoping it would either be him or Seth Jones, but when Nick Foligno retires, it should be Connor Bedard, because I think Connor Bedard is should be captain. Well, he's only played one NHL season, so let him develop some more, and then he'll be captain. But it was nice seeing Nick Foligno as team captain of the Chicago Blackhawks. And as a Blackhawks fan, a sports fan, Chicago Blackhawks fan, and a Chicago sports fan in general, I'm really excited to see what he does with the Blackhawks as team captain, because I know he's a leader on and off the ice, and he was captain of the Columbus Blue Jackets a while back when him and Seth Jones were teammates. So he replaces Jonathan Toews, who held the captain title from 2008 to 2023, and he scored in his final game with the Blackhawks on April 13, 2023 at the United Center. Unfortunately, it was in a 5-4 overtime loss to the Philadelphia Flyers. And of course, Nick Foligno, like I mentioned already, he was traded to the Blackhawks. So he was on the Boston Bruins at first, then he went to Chicago, and that trade was on June 26, 2023. And he signed a one-year contract deal the next day. And then recently, this year, he signed a 2-year, $9 million contract deal on January 12th. And he was captain of the Columbus Blue Jackets from 2015 until he was traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs, involving a 3-team deal with the San Jose Sharks on April 11, 2021. In Foligno's fourth season as captain of the Columbus Blue Jackets, they have won a playoff series in 2019. You guys may remember that one against Tampa, 4-game series sweep. This was the first time ever that the Blue Jackets have won a playoff series, because they never won a playoff series before. And during that time, Nick Foligno had 3 points in 10 playoff games, so 1 goal, 2 assists, but 3 points in 10 playoff games. And Seth Jones and Connor Murphy will continue to be the alternate captains of the Chicago Blackhawks heading into the season. They were alternate captains last year. And of course, they will be alternate captains this year. And Nick Foligno played his 1,000th NHL game on March 15, 2022, which was a 2-1 overtime win by the Boston Bruins against the Chicago Blackhawks at the United Center. And at that time, he was on the Boston Bruins. At that time, now he's on my Chicago Blackhawks. And like I said, as a Blackhawks fan and as a Chicago sports fan, I'm very happy to see him as team captain. And if you guys are watching this on YouTube, I'm wearing my Chicago White Sox hat, despite that they suck. But no matter what, I'm still going to root for the Chicago team. Anyway, moving on to more NHL news. So Victor Hedman named team captain of the Tampa Bay Lightning. This was also, I think this happened either Wednesday or Thursday when it was announced. And he is the Tampa's all-time leader in points among defensemen with 728, and in games played, which he's played in 1,052 games played. So I was hoping it could be Victor Hedman as team captain, and it was. Really great choice to make Victor Hedman the team captain of the Tampa Bay Lightning, replacing Steven Stamkos. And Nikita Kucherov and Ryan McDonagh, who's now back on the Tampa Bay Lightning, because he was traded to the Predators, and then the Predators traded him back to the Lightning. Nikita Kucherov and Ryan McDonagh will be the alternate captains for this season. And, of course, Victor Hedman, he's won 2 Stanley Cups with the Lightning, which was the back-to-back Stanley Cup years in 2020 and 2021. And, of course, in 2020, he won the Conn Smythe Trophy for MVP in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and he had 22 points in 25 games played at that time. So 10 goals, 12 assists for 22 points in 25 games played. And he signed a 4-year deal with the Tampa Bay Lightning back on July 2nd, 2024, which will keep him with the Tampa Bay Lightning through the 2028-2029 NHL season. And he's also the first defenseman to play in 1,000 games with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Of course, he actually did play, first defenseman to play in 1,000 games with the Lightning, which was a 4-0 shutout win against the Dallas Stars at Amalie Arena on December 4th, 2023. And he's one of 3 players in general to play in 1,000 games with the Tampa Bay Lightning since Vincent Lecavalier and, of course, Steven Stamkos. He won the Norris Trophy for Best Defenseman in 2018, which he had 63 points in 77 games played at that time. So 17 goals, 46 assists for 63 points in 77 games played. So very nice to see Victor Hedman as the Tampa Bay Lightning, of course. This will be the post-era, as I like to call it, since they don't have Steven Stamkos on the team. But like I said on this podcast many times, the Lightning are still going to be a playoff team without Steven Stamkos. And I think by adding Jake Guentzel can add some like secondary scoring right there. So put him on that first or second line. He should be a valuable asset for the team. And, of course, the Lightning are still stacked despite the departure of Steven Stamkos from offense to defense. And, of course, if Andrei Vasilevsky plays in Vezina Trophy form, which I know he's never won a Vezina before, but if he does play in Vezina Trophy form, the Lightning should be back in the playoffs. They're not going to miss the playoffs. I mean, despite Steven Stamkos leaving, I still see the Lightning making the Stanley Cup playoffs. They still have a great group. So I really don't see nothing bad happening for the Lightning. Now we're going to be moving on now. So Radko Gudas, he was named team captain of the Anaheim Ducks, so he replaces Ryan Getzlaf as team captain. Of course, Ryan Getzlaf, he's retired already, so he retired in 2021-2022 NHL season. And Gudas is the 9th captain in team history, by the way. Fun fact is you did not know. And last season, he had 18 points in 66 games played with the Ducks, so 6 goals, 12 assists for 18 points in 66 games played, and he notched 128 penalty minutes as well. So to me, when I think about this choice, I think it was like pretty random. I think it was like a random choice to name him captain because I really think it should have either gone to Cam Fowler or, probably Cam Fowler would have been a good choice as team captain, but Gudas, solid defenseman, but I felt like that was like a random choice right there. Career-wise, Radko Gudas had 182 points in 748 games played, so 39 goals, 143 assists for 182 points in 748 games played. And he's played with the Flyers, the Capitals, the Lightning. Some of you may remember him on the Panthers when they went to the Cup final in 2023 and they lost. And then, of course, now he plays for the Anaheim Ducks. So I'm excited to see what he does as captain and how he leads the team on and off the ice, like in the locker room and stuff. So we're excited to see that. All right, so the Red Wings, Stevie Y, Moritz Seider struck a deal. So Moritz Seider signs a 7-year contract deal with the Detroit Red Wings. So, of course, I said on this podcast that Steve Yzerman has said that they were hoping to strike a deal at some point, and we finally got the deal. Lock him up for 7 years with the Red Wings. And, of course, if the Red Wings want to make it back to the playoffs, I think Moritz Seider could be one of the key pieces right there. So he was a restricted free agent before. And, of course, he's won the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year in 2022. Last season, he had 42 points in 82 games, so 9 goals, 33 assists, but 42 points in 82 games played last season. And he led Detroit in ice time with 22 minutes and 22 seconds. So he's a big guy to watch out for the Detroit Red Wings. And, of course, I really think the Red Wings have a shot at making the playoffs this season, despite coming oh so close last season. Some will describe it as a fluke run, which it kind of was. But I still believe that this Red Wings team still has some pieces and some great players that can help them push toward the playoffs. I know they also lost James Reimer, who's now in the Buffalo Sabres, but they brought in Vladimir Tarasenko, who did play with Patrick Kane when Patrick Kane and Vladimir Tarasenko was traded to the New York Rangers. So they're going to be reunited in Detroit. Of course, you still got Alistair Brinker on the team, Dylan Larkin. So they got some great pieces right there. The goaltending is not as good. It's not as good, but hopefully that can like somehow elevate and be better if the Red Wings want to have a shot at making the Stanley Cup playoffs this year. But anyway, career-wise for Moritz Seider, he's had 134 points in 246 regular season games played, so 21 goals, 113 assists for 134 points in 246 regular season games. And of course, the Red Wings open up this season at home against the Pittsburgh Penguins on October 10th, and that will be on a Thursday. So Thursday, October 10th, we'll get to see some Red Wings hockey. They'll have their home opener, season opener against the Pittsburgh Penguins, taking on Sidney Crosby, Rucker McGroarty, again Malkin, Chris Letang, and all the other Pittsburgh Penguins players. Hopefully, Rucker McGroarty scores his first NHL goal in his debut. Really would love to see that. Probably could get a hat trick in his debut, like Austin Matthews did when the Leafs were playing the Senators and Austin Matthews debuted, and he got a hat trick. Not to mention a 4-goal game. So, yeah, could see a 4-goal game for Rucker McGroarty. Don't know. Anyway, Kyle Poso, he hangs up the skates. He calls it quits. He's retiring from the NHL after 17 seasons, and he announced his retirement Thursday. And, of course, he won the Stanley Cup with the Florida Panthers last season. So he wins the Cup, and then he retires, which I think is a great way of going out. Like, you're playing your last season, you win the Cup, and then you get to retire. Great way to end his NHL career. I know some people were kind of like confused, like, this dude wins the Cup, and now he just calls it quits. Now he's retiring. I know some people were like confused and like, why is he retiring? He can still play some more seasons, but I think it's a great way to end his career with a Stanley Cup, with his name on the Stanley Cup, and he wins the Stanley Cup. So a great way to end his career. 22 points in 67 games played in his final season with the Panthers and Sabres last season. Of course, all 22 points came with the Buffalo Sabres. So 12 goals, 10 assists for 22 points in 67 games played. He played 61 games for the Sabres, and, of course, he played 6 games for the Florida Panthers. He did not score or have any point whatsoever in the regular season, but he was in the Stanley Cup final and won the Stanley Cup. Career-wise, Kyle Poso has 614 points in 1,051 games played with the Islanders, Sabres, and Panthers. Of course, he was drafted by the New York Islanders. So 242 goals, 372 assists for 614 points in 1,051 games played with the Islanders, Sabres, and Panthers. So congratulations, Kyle Poso, on a fantastic NHL career. Now we're going to take a look at the Boston Bruins 2024-2025 season outlook. They're still going to be a great team. They're still going to make the playoffs, but some things just concern me, and it's especially the goaltending. The goaltending really concerns me because Jeremy Swayman unsigned. Linus Ullmark, he's now in the Senators. So we could see a new goaltending duo with the Boston Bruins, but Swayman, I don't know if he's going to be signed with the team. Most likely to, but as of right now, he's not signed with the team, and I think he missed training camp when the Bruins started their training camp. So new goaltending duo in Joonas Korpisalo, and of course a young goaltender in Brandon Bussi, and of course Korpisalo was acquired in that Ottawa trade, so they traded Linus Ullmark to Ottawa, Joonas Korpisalo to Boston, and he had a 21, 26, and 4 record with a 3.27 goals against average and a .890 save percentage. So terrible stats right there for Joonas Korpisalo. Looking forward to bouncing back. I thought he was going to be like as a backup kind of goalie, but like I said, Swayman is not signed with the team. He hasn't been signed with the team. And I don't know where this goaltending direction is going to go. That's one concern I had. That's probably like a major concern I have is the goaltending. But the forward group and the defensive group is not bad. That's still stacked on. I know that they got some young veterans. They got some veterans, and they got some young players on the team. So for that offensive defense group. So I'm not really concerned about that as much, but the goaltending I am. So Joonas Korpisalo, he's usually the backup. I think he was a starter when he was on the Ottawa Senators, but usually he's like a backup type of goalie. But during his time with the Columbus Blue Jackets and Los Angeles Kings, he's had some not bad stats. I mean, solid, good stats, but this season was just not it. So he's trying to look back into being in that form once again. Of course, Brandon Bussi, a promising young goaltender who has performed quite well in the AHL, of course, with the Providence Bruins. Hopefully I pronounced it right. and he will likely serve as the backup, but could push for more NHL starts depending on his training camp performance. So, depending on that, and of course depending on the preseason, because we could see him in a few preseason games for the Boston Bruins, then we'll know if he's like NHL ready or not, or if he needs to be sent back down to the AHL. And like I said, with Omar gone, Swayman unsigned, the Boston Bruins are really relying on Jonas Korpisalo, so this could pressure him quite a bit because they really need him to be one of the, well, I wouldn't say one of the best, but they really need him to be like as good as a great starter, just in case that they don't bring back Jeremy Swayman, which I doubt that they won't bring him back because I really think he has a chance of re-signing with the team. So he's going to have to play in that starter goalie form, which I'm kind of used to watching him as a backup type of goalie. But if Swayman does come back, he could be the backup goalie, and Bushi can be sent down to the AHL, and they'll still have, and the goaltending will probably help the Bruins make it to the playoffs if Swayman decides to come back with the team. But other than that, I really think that this Boston Bruins team has a shot at making the playoffs, but it all just depends on Korpisalo's performance, if he's ready to be in that starting goalie role, or if Swayman decides to come back with the team, which for all Bruins fans, hoping he does, because I know Omar gone. Omar was a great goalie. He won the Vezina, I believe. So with Omar gone, Swayman on the side, we won't see that great goaltending once again on the Boston Bruins. And of course, when those two were on the same team together, they did win the William Jennings Trophy together, and also as a team, the Bruins have won the President's Trophy. That was back in 2023, where they somehow got eliminated by the Florida Panthers in the first round of the 2023 Stanley Cup playoffs. All right, so now we're going to move on now. So Dawson Mercer, he signs a 3-year contract deal with the New Jersey Devils. He was a restricted free agent, and he's coming off of a slumping 2023-2024 NHL season where he had 33 points in 82 games played. So 20 goals, 13 assists for 33 points in 82 games played. And, of course, in his rookie year, he notched 42 points in 82 games played with 17 goals, 25 assists for 42 points in 82 games played. And this was back during the 2021-2022 NHL season. He posted a career-high 56 points in 82 games played in his second season with the Devils, so 27 goals, 29 assists for 56 points in 82 games played. And he was the 18th overall pick by the New Jersey Devils in the 2020 NHL Draft. So the Devils in general, I think they have a shot at making the playoffs. They should make the playoffs. I don't know why they missed out last year. That kind of still confuses me today because I thought the Devils were going to make the playoffs last year, and they didn't. I really didn't get that. But I really think with additions that they added, such as bringing in Jacob Markstrom, Jake Allen as the backup. They brought back Tomas Tatar, who did play for the Devils before. He's coming back on the team. So with those additions, they really should have a shot at making the playoffs. And, of course, with the talent of Jack Hughes, Luke Hughes, Nico Hischier. The list just goes on and on. With all that talent on the team, I really think the Devils have a shot at making the playoffs. Not to mention that they brought in Sheldon Keefe as their head coach, which you guys all know. He used to coach the Toronto Maple Leafs. He also used to coach their AHL team, the Toronto Marlies. So bringing in some coaching experience right there. And he should help the Devils make it to the Stanley Cup playoffs, but I know he didn't really do too much with the Toronto Maple Leafs except making playoffs and going to the second round. But other than that, it's been like first round exits every time. And they brought in Jeremy Colleton as their assistant head coach, who used to coach my Chicago Blackhawks. So I should already know his name because he used to coach the Blackhawks. So I really think with that group, with that coaching, with the offensive and defensive group is not bad either. Goaltending has really improved as well for the Devils. Like I said, bringing in Jacob Markstrom and Jake Allen, I really think the Devils have a shot at making the playoffs. This year, they should finish as one of the top 3 teams. I don't think they're going to be a wild card team. I think they're going to finish in the top 3 in the Metro Division, so can't wait for that. Moving on now, so Thatcher Demko. We don't know if we're going to see him this upcoming season because he sustained a lower body injury during the 2024 Stanley Cup playoffs in that first round series against the Nashville Predators. So he's only played one game because of that lower body injury. I think it happened in Game 2 or Game 3. I'm not sure. But in that first round series against Nashville, he had a lower body injury and he was out for the remainder of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and we're unsure if he's going to come back this season. He did miss the first day of training camp with the Vancouver Canucks, and that was on Thursday. And I don't know how this will affect Vancouver's chances of making the playoffs. I think they still have a great group, but the goaltending remains a factor as well because we got to think about the offense. We got to think about the defense. We got to think about the goaltending. So the goaltending could remain a factor as well. Looking at his stats from last season, he had a 35-14-2 record with a 2.45 goals against average and a .918 save percentage. So not bad stats at all. And of course, the Canucks opened up their season opener against the Calgary Flames on October 9th. First game of the season right there. It's not an estimated timeline for when Thatcher Demko could return. This is what he has to say about it. I can't really give you an answer, to be honest. Had you asked me about a month ago, I really wouldn't have been able to tell you. I will say we're on a great trajectory right now. So that's what he had to say. So there's not really an estimate timeline for when Thatcher Demko could be back for this opening 2024-2025 NHL season. But if you're a Canucks fan, you're just hoping that he be back soon because I really think that's going to have to play a key role in this. But if he doesn't be back in time, Archer Sivasov will be the starting goalie. We saw what he did in that first round series against Nashville. I know a lot of Predators fans aren't really happy about that since the team got eliminated. And, of course, in the second round, when the Canucks were taking on the Oilers, despite them being eliminated by the Oilers in that 7-game series. So I really think he has potential to be a starting goalie. And, of course, who could be backup goalie to him if Sivasov does end up being the starting goalie. It could see Nikita Talopio, hopefully I pronounced that last name right. And he's currently positioned to be the starter with the Abbotsford Canucks. Of course, that's the AHL team. Talopilo has shown promise with a solid 20-13-1 record in the AHL last season. And for his size, which he stands at 6'6", and his athleticism and his skills, that all could play into him possibly stepping up into being an NHL-type goalie. And he's considered one of the Canucks' top goaltending prospects and could most likely be a backup to Archer Sivasov if Sivasov does take the starting role and if Thatcher Demko isn't back in time. Another goalie that they could bring as their backup, Yuri Petreyev, who was signed by the Canucks this offseason, and he has both NHL and AHL experience. And while he struggled last season, he has shown potential, especially during his brief NHL stint in the 2022-2023 NHL season. He's expected to split time with Talopio in the AHL, but could be called up as a backup if Sivasov starts. So it just depends on how they do at training camp. And, of course, the preseason will be a factor because, of course, we're going to see some players from the NHL and, of course, AHL playing in the preseason because it's not really the regular season. So, of course, if he does well in preseason, he could get called up, play in the NHL, and, of course, be that backup role if Sivasov does end up being the starting goalie. And, of course, the Canucks have also been linked with Kevin Lankinen, which brings me to my next topic. So Kevin Lankinen could possibly agree on a deal with the Vancouver Canucks, because I know I saw some articles of Kevin Lankinen and the Canucks talking about a deal. So if Kevin Lankinen were to sign with the Vancouver Canucks, he could offer the following. So he could have experience as a starter and backup because he has served in both those roles with the Chicago Blackhawks and Nashville Predators, and his experience as a reliable backup could ease the Canucks' concerns about depth in their goaltending if Demko isn't ready for the start of the season. And, of course, he's had solid goaltending numbers in the 2022-2023 season with the Nashville Predators. He posted a 9.16 save percentage and a 2.75 goals against average in 19 games, or over 19 games. And his performance indicates that he can handle a significant workload if necessary, making him a dependable option behind Steven Stas or Demko. So if that does happen, if Kevin Lankinen does sign with the Vancouver Canucks, we could see him as either starter or backup goalie, because I know with the Nashville Predators, even this season, I know I discussed some stats with him during the 2022-2023 season, but even this season, really, if UC Saul's got hurt, Kevin Lankinen will be the starting goalie. And I know Andrew Burnett, the Nashville Predators head coach, has started Kevin Lankinen in games before. Even with UC Saul still healthy and on the bench, Andrew Burnett has started Kevin Lankinen in some games over UC Saul. So while UC Saul is mainly the goalie for the Nashville Predators, he's mainly the backbone in the crease, as you like to call it, Kevin Lankinen has started a few games over UC Saul, and he certainly played a role in that. And he's won a few games as the starting goalie for the Nashville Predators in some games. So I really think he can bring that to the table for the Vancouver Canucks. And, of course, another reason, he's just calm under pressure. So he has demonstrated composure in high-pressure situations, including his standout performance during the 2021 IIHF World Championship. So, of course, that stands for International Ice Hockey Federation World Championship, where he helped Finland to a silver medal. And this toughness will be an asset in competitive games, especially if they're playing teams like New Jersey or Edmonton or Florida or any of those great teams. That he could possibly be a starting goalie in that situation because he's calm under pressure. He knows how to handle these situations very, very well. And, of course, veteran presence. At 29 years old, Lankinen could bring a stabilizing veteran presence to the Canucks' young goaltending corps, and he could mentor emerging goalies like Archer Slivsauce, especially when he had that outstanding performance against Nashville in that first-round series, while providing steady play when called upon. So if Lankinen does sign Vancouver, his combination of experience, solid numbers, and ability to perform in both starter and backup roles will make him a valuable addition to the team's goaltending depth. All right, guys, so before we head off, we're going to discuss some preseason games for tomorrow, because tomorrow is the NHL preseason. So it may not be the regular season yet, but we got the NHL preseason here, and I know that's not exciting as the regular season, but we're going to go ahead. We're going to discuss some preseason games to come on tomorrow. So, of course, there is 3 preseason games to come on tomorrow for the Saturday. Pittsburgh Penguins, they're going to head to Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Sabres. That will come on at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time on NHL Network. It will be followed by the St. Louis Blues heading to the Big D to take on the Dallas Stars at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time on Victory Plus, followed by the Minnesota Wild taking on the Winnipeg Jets. So another Central Division showdown right there. That will come on at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time on TSN. So that will be all 3 of the preseason games tomorrow. And that is going to do it for this show, guys. So thank you guys for tuning in as always. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you guys have a great weekend. Of course, preseason hockey is tomorrow. And despite the NFL season being here, hockey season just keeps inching closer and closer and closer and closer. So hockey season will be here. Hockey season will come eventually. It will come eventually. It's just going to have to take time. So just going to have a little patience. But anyway, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Hope you guys have a great weekend getting to watch some preseason hockey. God first as always. Be blessed. And I'll see you guys Monday for another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG Podcast. Take care.